Humphrey's Creepy Crawly Camping Adventure, Chapter 2. It's called The Great Outdoors. Humphrey, we're going on an adventure, Heidi told me in the car on the way home. Yippee! What are we doing? I asked. I hoped Heidi could understand me, but I knew that all she heard was squeak, squeak, squeak. We're camping outside, she said. It's finally warm enough. Maybe she understood me after all. Once we got to the house, Heidi took me to the backyard. Heidi's dad was there. He was hammering a stake in the ground to hold up a big yellow tent. "Welcome, Humphrey," Mr. Hopper said. "Thanks," I squeaked. I wanted to lend a helping paw, but it would be very difficult for a small hamster to help put up a large tent. Heidi set my cage on a table. It was nice to feel the breeze in my fur, and I smelled all kinds of interesting smells, like pine trees and roses. After a while, I heard a familiar voice ask, "Is Humphrey here?" It was Miranda, who is also in room 26. Her name is Miranda Golden, but because she has golden hair, I call her Golden Miranda. "We're having a camping night," I squeaked. "Speak up. Who is a quiet girl?" Speak up, Saya, who is a quiet girl, also came into the backyard. "I'm so glad you can be with us, Humphrey," she said in her soft, sweet voice. Then Gail arrived too. "Is Humphrey going to sleep in the tent with us?" she asked. "Yes," Heidi said. "Eek!" I squeaked. I've gone to all kinds of houses and apartments on my weekend outings, but I have never slept outside before. However, if my friends were sleeping in the tent, then I would too. So everyone was having a great time. The girls hit a ball back and forth over a net. Heidi's mom and dad cooked burgers on a grill. When it was time to eat, Miranda and Saya came over to my cage and gave me celery sticks and carrots. They tasted hamsterific. Then the girls toasted marshmallows over the fire. They looked ooey and gooey, but they didn't look like something a hamster would like. There was so much going on, I hardly noticed that it was growing dark. "Look up," Mrs. Hopper said to everyone. Pet hamsters don't spend a lot of time outdoors. We spend even less time outdoors at night. So when I looked up, I was amazed to see a sky full of twinkling stars. We studied stars in school, but I never knew they could be so bright. Mrs. Hopper pointed out that some stars were grouped together and made little pictures. It was unsqueakably hard to see the pictures at first. "I see the Big Dipper," Miranda shouted, pointing at the sky. "See the long handle with a scoop at the end?" "I see it too," Gail said. I stared and I stared, and then I saw it too. "That bright star is the North Star," Saya said. "And Mars is the red-looking planet," Heidi's mom said. I'd heard a story about green men from Mars invading Earth, so I was a little worried. But when I saw it twinkling, it looked like a very friendly planet. Then Heidi's dad said, "Let's go for a hike." "Where will we go?" Heidi asked. Mr. Hopper smiled and handed each girl a flashlight. Oh, it will be a long hike all around the yard. Miranda put me in my hamster ball and set it on the ground. Let's look for night crawlers, Mr. Hopper said. What are they? Heidi asked. Worms, Mr. Hopper replied. Ew, Gail said. They sound creepy and crawly, Miranda said. Worms won't hurt you, Mr. Hopper explained. They help the soil. I crossed my toes and hoped he was right. He led the girls to the back of the yard. I rolled through the grass next to them. Mr. Hopper handed the girls long sticks. You might have to dig around a little to find them. Gail giggled nervously. I was feeling a little nervous too. Then Heidi shouted, I found some! All of us rushed over to the flower bed, where she was poking the earth with her stick. I was the last to arrive, because it's not easy to roll a hamster ball on the grass. When Heidi shined her flashlight on the dirt, Saya said, Ooh. They're creepy, Miranda said. And crawly, Heidi added. Just then my ball rolled up to the edge of the flower bed. I agreed. The worms did look crawly and a little creepy. They were slimy and slithery, too. But they weren't scary. Creepy crawlies don't scare me, I squeaked, which made Gail giggle. As my friends were busy shining their flashlights around the edge of the yard, my ball hit a little rock and made a sharp turn. I started rolling away from my friends. I wanted to stop, but the ball kept on rolling. I rolled past the tent and toward the house. Ahead of me, I saw something very long and very skinny. It reminded me of a worm, but it was much bigger. It was also bright green, and it curved all around, just like a snake. Eek! I shouted. There was no doubt about it. I was headed straight toward a great, big, green snake. That's the end of chapter 2.